Now, also in the week, the controversy over pipeline surveillance contracts in the Niger Delta region deepened after a human rights group asked the federal government to stop entrusting the security of the country's pipeline assets in the hands of persons with a violent history, such as ex-Niger Delta militants. Now, the coalition of Niger Delta activists insists that leaving the pipelines in the care of people with militant backgrounds grossly undermines Nigeria's sovereignty. To press home their position, the group Civil Society Organization Network of Nigeria stormed the headquarters of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, calling for a review of the pipeline surveillance contracts in the Niger Delta region. But, well, is it time for a review? To help us shed more light on the brewing conflict of interest over pipeline security contracts and if the government is doing the right thing or not, we have in the studio with us former member of the House of Representatives, Ehiozua Agbonayinma. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. And
also joining him is the Niger Delta activist, Solomon Adodo. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, so Honorable, let's come to you. The controversy over these pipeline surveillance contracts, it looks like a juicy cake that several groups just want to have it. Is the government actually doing the right thing, or should we resort to the Nigerian Navy, as some other groups like these CSOs are calling for?
Well, thank you for having me. Thank to our viewers out there, both home and abroad. Mr. Sambo, this is something that has been going on for so many years that I have been able to, at least, to participate in making sure that Nigeria are not shortchanged, and especially Nigerians. The question is whether the government are doing the right thing by appointing a company, Tantita, to handle the problem, the pipeline surveillance in the Niger Delta. Let me also let you know, I'm from Niger Delta. At the time, I was a member of the House of Representatives, representing the good people of Ego-Ikpobaoka Federal Constituency. And Ikpobaoka is one of the, Edo State is one of the oil-producing states. And my local government, that of Oriomo and Ovia, are the oil-producing in the state. This has been ongoing. And I always want to say to my people, a house divided can never stand. If Mr. President, President Tinubu, GCFRO, find it worthy to give the contract to somebody that he believes can salvage the problem facing Nigeria at the moment because of the dwindling oil production, in order for us to have an increment, they needed someone who knows the terrain, who is in the terrain, who have been in the center of it all. That is Tantita.
Yeah, I mean, it's Tompolo and it's Tantita Security Services, which has become very controversial.
Let me take you back. It is unfortunate that we don't appreciate our own. The man who saw the vision, who did everything humanly possible, he was patriotic, a Nigerian of blessed memory, Captain Osawe Sokumbo. This somebody at the time when Nigeria were going through a lot during this pipeline vandalization and the crude oil theft. He said to himself, he said, look, something needs to be done. He approached the government. He approached NNPC. They said they have no money, no budget. That the DMG said, well, National Assembly have not given money for that in the budget. You know what he did? He said, don't worry. I'm going to go ahead. Are you okay if I go ahead to see if I can stop this menace, to help the country, to salvage our problem facing our dear nation? He went ahead just by anticipatory approval. He invested his own personal money, personal resources, to make sure he went to solve the problem. And who did he go to? He went to Tompolo. Tompolo was one of those who stood by him at that time. And the rest is history. You know what's painful to me? That Captain Osa should have been given an award, CON, CFRO, whatever. He was not recognized for the good I did for this country. Sometimes you begin to wonder. So if Mr. President have decided to give it to somebody he believes that can service and protect the waterway, the security of the waterways, especially the surveillance of the pipeline, who can challenge Mr. President? I think Mr. President should be applauded.
All right, and I'll bring you in, Solomon. I mean, what's your own view? Because these other groups are really kicking hard and saying that, look, ex-militants shouldn't be given these contracts, and then that there's a need for review. I mean, looks like it's a very juicy surveillance contract, actually.
Now, it's beyond talking about what is juicy or not. What we need to look at is efficiency and curbing something that has been crippling our nation. If you look at the struggles of the Niger Delta, it's a striation from post-independence when oil was discovered in the Niger Delta region. We had activists like Isaac Adakaboro fight. We had activists like the late Ken Saro-Wiwa. And then in recent times, we had these other activists and agitators who came on board. And when the former president, Yar'Adua, met with these people and said, what are the grievances? They said our resources are being pilfered, taken away. People come from abroad, collusions from internal, stolen, crude oil stolen. The nation doesn't get, we the locals don't get, everything is going wrong. We've seen that relative peace has returned to the Niger Delta region. That is number one. Who was one of the lead persons in this? It is Chief Government Ekpemupolo, Tom Polo, that we're talking about today. And we see that there is peace there. But we have a corporate entity. Once there is a corporate entity registered by the Corporate Affairs Commission, you treat it as a corporate entity. You are not looking at it and saying, this is that or that is that. Does the company have any negative track records? The answer is no. Does the company have several positive track records? The answer is a resounding yes. Now, what the issue is that we have fiendish elements, enemies of the Nigerian nation, who want to bring
so? Because
yes,
they are
very
saying
true.
that the Nigerian Navy ought to be doing its work more, now, and that, for example, companies like Tantita are not doing so much.
Now, that is where
a problem with that.
That is where there is an issue. You see, Tantita consists of the locals, the youth of that region, several blocks of local people who understand the terrain very well. You bring the Navy in, of course, they have heavy gunboats, they have so much they are doing. It is a collaborative thing. With Tantita coming on board, we've recorded several seizures of vessels. The FP Amangwa, several controversies. The issue of crude oil theft came more to the front burner. The renewed, reinvigorated fight by NNPCL, the war against crude oil theft. If you look around, NNPCL is recording so much. It is as a result of the partnership with Tantita. As a result of this partnership again, the eyes of Nigerians are open. What we want to ensure at this point is that those who want to blackmail a firm, a company that is helping the country, should not be allowed to have their way. Mr. President should know that there are those who are waiting on the wings to ensure that the nation is brought to our grinding knees. I will draw you an illustration from the Northwest region. Yes, very quickly. Look at what is happening in Zamfara, the banditry. Look at what is happening in Yobe and the rest. It is not because the Boko Haram want to look at desert lands. There are minerals they are taking out of there. That is what they want to turn the Niger Delta into, a hotbed of violence. But with local firms like Tantita collaborating with the Navy, it is not that Tantita is pushing the Navy out. There is a collaboration. They bring it up and then they work together. So Mr. President should ensure that the full backing is given consistently.
All right, if these contracts are being given, how come other Niger Delta ex-militants were not considered? Because, I mean, it looks like the fight is coming from within. People like Asari Dokubo's group and others. Does it look like it's only government Ekpemupolo that was favored? And could it be that, you know, there's a reason why government doesn't want to bring others into it?
Well, it's not only Asari Dokubo and others. Even some of my friends and my brothers from Edo State, they were also agitating. What I said is that, look, when our leader, our father, our uncle, of blessed memory, Kakeosa, when he had this opportunity, you know, we were given the contract by OMS and Delta Pacific. Nobody were saying no. People from the Edo State, Niger Delta, that were shouting. There was a time they protested to National Assembly. I was in the House of Rep then. That they shouldn't give the contract to, you know, OMS and Delta Pacific owned by a captain. I said, no. And I look at the names. And some were Uche, some were Bola, some were Abdullahi. And I asked them, are you from Niger Delta? These are sponsored people that were doing that. I'm going to tell you this. You know, remember the undeclared crude oil that left this nation to a global destination as a result of nobody protecting our waterways. And it cost us so much billions of dollars. To United States alone, 391 million barrels went to United States, undeclared for, to the detriment of all Nigerians. What happened? Because we didn't have enough proof of evidence for those to protect the waterways. Because at the time, the Navy cried out that they don't have enough weapons, they don't have enough, equipment, they don't have a boat, war boat, and to go and prevent and protect. Even when we had a public hearing, there was petitioners at that time fighting captain and OMS, and we stood our ground. To the glory of God, the Speaker then Dogara and the leadership of the National Assembly, a session said, no, we are not going to accept this. And we gave reason for not accepting it, because this is a man.
Yeah, but are those reasons still tenable under President Bola Tinubu's government, for example? Well, because the issue of
Mr.
President, people are wondering if we still have
was it not in Nigeria? It's not in Nigeria.
The issue of oil theft
Mr. President, he knew, he understand. He understand. At least he have ears. He have people on ground giving him the right information. You have NSA, you have GMD, you have DSS, you have IG, you have NIA. They are reports that must be given. To be given to Tantita, I will tell you that I'm not a spokesman for Mr. President, but I'm saying that with the Niger Delta, we should please work together as a team. Because a house divided can never stand. Because you have not seen anybody in the northern part, even gold that's been mined every day. I investigated that for 2 years, over $50 billion left this country.
Well, that's an allegation.
Hold on. Listen, it's not about allegation. This is something that was investigated in the house that I moved, and it was something that is mind-boggling. Let us not start to begin to fight one another.
All right.
What is important is that Tantita, please work with others. Just like when Captain was alive, Captain was able to carry everybody along. He was able to reach out to every community. That is why there was success. And there's success now that Tantita, well, are you not going to tell Mr. President that Mr. President doesn't know what he's doing? If you were given opportunity and you have done your best, and if other is also given, allow them to do
and that's where I bring Solomon in. I will ask you the same question that I asked him. How come we still have the issues of crude oil theft despite Tantita's presence? Could it be that is also there's not so much synergy with other ex-Niger Delta agitators, and that's why we're seeing this, including the Okwama killings? What do you make about that?
Now, you see, when you are in the mop-up process, you start gradually and you're building up strength. Since this Tantita contract for surveillance came up, looking at the Trans-Escravos and Transforgados pipeline axis where they operate, we've seen that there has been an incremental output of crude oil production, I think of over 200,000 barrels per day. That is a very significant output. And of course, the records are there for all of you to see. All Nigerians see that crude oil output is being ramped up. We are still looking at getting to 2 million barrels per day.
That hasn't really curbed a lot, because people are saying that there's still a lot
there is still a lot to be done.
And people are wondering if the Nigerian Navy and the Tantita are still going to go.
No, let me tell you something. Tantita particularly, let me tell you that Tantita has exposed a lot. What we need now is to ensure that those who have been caught and are culpable, they are prosecuted, dealt with, imprisoned. Some of them should even be meted death sentence if possible, so that it will serve as deterrent. Now, when we had a situation, Tantita intercepted some vessels laden with crude oil in metric tons, several metric tons. What happened to the owners of those vessels? That is the question we should be asking. So the government should give more teeth and more bite. Tantita has done its part, you understand, by exposing these people, coming up. Before now, there was no so much exposition. NNPC announced, I think that should be early this year or last year, as a result of this collaborative effort with Tantita, that they discovered several outlets, connections, and so on and so forth. It is a steady progress that we are recording, and it should be improved upon. Right. Let me also tell you again that some of these things
in the Okwama killings, I mean, because people have been saying that it's related to this,
and that is why, we are also, that's where I'm even coming to today at this moment. We find out that there is an issue in the Niger Delta. We are looking at Ijo, Ichekiri. If you look, the protest, there was one protest by a group, I don't know who they are. They gathered in Lagos, not even the Niger Delta region. Yes, they said they are protesting and that they are Ichekiri. Yeah. The Niger Delta region does not belong to only Ijo or Ichekiri. There are several other ethnic nationalities in the Niger Delta region.
Am I not from Edo?
Yeah, and that is the Niger Delta region, and so on and so forth. That's why you see, these are all the issues that are in the maelstrom, causing all of these crises here and there. What we should be looking at is efficiency. And I want to use this medium. I am very particular, Mr. President, with the successes that Tantita have recorded for the Nigerian government. Of course, the president gave commendations and so on. What should happen is that there should be strong punitive measures for those who have been found culpable. Very strong punitive measures.
All right, and you, Honorable, I want you to talk about the Okwama killings of the Nigerian soldiers and how it relates to this issue of oil bunkering. Very quickly before I let you go.
I don't want to dumble into that. You know why?
Because people are saying that they are all related.
No. You know, it's another cheap blackmail. Let the investigation continue. You know, and I don't want us to start boiling and start dwelling and start talking about things that we really don't know about. Yeah. It is very wrong. I think those that were killed, those military officers that were killed, they are Nigerians. So we should allow their soul to rest in peace. And while the investigation is ongoing, let the government do its job, so that those involved should be brought to book. But however, let me say this. Yeah. You remember, on many occasions that have appeared on the rise, we've discussed extensively about the undeclared crude oil that left this country, that the collaborators are not just people of Niger Delta. They are IOC. The IOC, the Western World, International Oil Company, that have come, that have done so much bad things, tried to steal, and they have been stealing our crude through the back door. We blame the militancy about the crude, but the real culprit are the IOC that are stealing our wet every day. And at the end of the day, we blame that those people that are doing mega bunkering, they are not the real one. But all I'm saying is this. I'm appealing to my people that, look, let's work as a family. When Captain was alive, he was able to work with everybody. In the Niger Delta. In the Niger Delta. Okay. He carried everybody along. And I'm also appealing that Tantita should also do the same, carry everybody along. Those that are aggrieved, yes, but there's no need for us to start whipping sentiment about it. When somebody has the capacity, it is about capacity and competency. These people had the capacity at the time. I can say without missing word, because from onset, I know the role Topolo played in helping to make sure that Cardosa succeeded. Let us not begin to fight against nothing.
Yes.
It's about teamwork, team effort.
I mean, I understand that's the much time can take right now, but I mean, the clear thing here is that Nigeria needs to improve its oil production.
Yeah. Very true.
And then, of course, whether through the Navy's effort or you know, Tantita or the services like that, we need to ensure that our oil production ramps up. And then it's on that note that we must thank you so much, Honorable Hezwa Agbonayinma.
And please, before we go, don't forget that there's a class action lawsuit going on in the United States against the IOC because of the federal government who engaged some lawyer in the United States, in Nigeria, that Nigeria connived with the government of Nigeria to defraud Nigerian government.
I remember you brought up that issue.
But there's a class action lawsuit that is ongoing in the United States. In order to return and get our money, our wet, stolen, that is in different banks in the United States, back to Nigeria.
We must thank you so much. And of course, Solomon Adodo is a Niger Delta activist and a former president of the National Youth Council of Nigeria. We must thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.